Daniel Petric, age 16, lived with his parents, Sue and Mark Petric, in Brighton, Ohio. Brighton, Ohio is located in southwestern Lorain County and is one of 18 townships. It has a population of less than 1,000 citizens. Reverend Mark Petric, age 45, studied at the University of Valley Forge. He was the pastor at New Life Assembly of God in Wellington, Ohio. Sue Patrick, age 43, also attended the University of Valley Forge in Pennsylvania. She was employed at Weber's Health Care in Wellington. The couple were both avid Cleveland Brown fans. The couple also has an older daughter, Heidi. Heidi is married, and lives with her husband Andrew Archer. In early 2006 Daniel contracted a staphylococcus infection from a snow skiing injury. This caused the teen to be housebound for over a year while recovering from his severe spinal damage. During this time Daniel began playing the video game Halo with his friend Jonathan Johnson. This led to a severe addiction over time. He would spend several hours at his friend's house playing the game. Halo is a series of violent video games about a war with aliens. It's rated M by the Entertainment Software Rating Board, due to being excessively violent. When Daniel asked his father to purchase the game for him, he was ordered to stop playing the game or leave the house. His father strongly disapproved of his son playing the game due to extreme violence. In September of 2007 Daniel spent the weekend at his friend's house playing the game the entire time with very little breaks. During this time he purchased his own copy of Halo 3 with his own money without his father knowing. When he returned home his father discovered the game and confiscated it. On October 20 in 2007 Daniel found the key to his father's safe, and unlocked it. Inside he found his Halo game. He took it back, along with his father's gun. His parents, Mark and Sue, were on the couch waiting for a Browns game to start. Daniel walked up behind them and told them to close their eyes, he had a surprise for them. He then began shooting both of his parents. Then told his father, "Hey Dad, here's your gun, take it," and put the gun in his hand. A few minutes later, Heidi and her husband Andrew arrived at the door. They arrived a few hours early. They were expected by her parents to watch the Browns game with them. Daniel blocked their entrance into the home. He told Heidi his parents were fighting. Heidi's husband Andrew forced through the door, and knocked Daniel out of the way. When he saw her parents, he told his wife to stay outside and call 911. Let's listen to the 911 call.
What's going on?
I don't know what happened. I just came over to my parents' house because we were going to watch the game, and my mom is shot, and my dad is shot, and my brother's here.
Does anybody know what happened? Did your brother shoot your parents?
I don't know. I didn't know.
Daniel fled in his parents' minivan but was arrested quickly.
My dad, he shot my mom and he shot himself.
Why would my dad shoot my mom?
I don't know, man.
Please don't let my dad die. Please don't let my dad die.
He had the video game in his possession. Sue Petric was wounded in the head, arm and chest. She was pronounced dead at the scene. Mark Petric was shot in the head but still alive. He was rushed to the Cleveland Metro Hospital where he was in a coma. When Daniel was interviewed by police he claimed his parents were in a heated argument, and his father shot his mother then shot himself. Let's listen to excerpts from the interview.
My dad was just yelling, just screaming at my mom. And then I heard my dad walk in the room and into his bedroom. And I walked back out. I ran out there. And my mom I've been shot. He pointed the gun at me. Then he said he was sorry, and then he shot himself.
When Mark Petric finally regained consciousness, he could not speak due to his jaw being shattered. When police interviewed him, one question was all that mattered. "Did Daniel shoot you?" Mark answered with the only way he could, by nodding his head. Daniel finally admitted it was him that pulled the trigger.
It just kind of snapped and did it. It wasn't something I really thought about.
Daniel Petric was convicted of aggravated murder, attempted aggravated murder and tampering with evidence. Due to his age, he could not be sentenced to death. Daniel's trial was held in 2008 at the Lorain County Court in Elyria, Ohio. Judge James Burge presided. Daniel's defense rejected a jury trial. Daniel's defense had over 25 people testify on his behalf, including his own father, Mark. He claimed his son had deep regret for the shooting. Daniel's defense attorney, James Kersey, argued the insanity defense on the grounds of his game addiction being an underlying psychological condition. He detailed how Daniel was under stress during his time being extremely ill with a severe infection from his injury. Due to his weakened state, he was more susceptible to the influence of the game. Kersey claimed due to his young age he was not in his right mind to understand the ramifications of shooting his parents, and that it was final. His lawyer claims that Daniel believed his parents would reset just like the video game.
The video games and the reality of shooting somebody, in his case, was blinded. It was merged. He had left playing video games. He then went home and didn't realize, had no thought during this process, during the time he was blinded, that his parents might be dead. They might never come back. John Otero and myself, where he has cried, tears running down his face, saying, "I'll never be able to forgive myself." He'll bear with me. It's hard for me. It's very emotional. What's written in this letter is not only my views, but the views of my entire family. I'm writing this letter on behalf of my son, Daniel Petric. Danny has had to face and is now facing the very serious consequences of what he did on October 20th, 2007. I know, without any doubt, he has severe regret, remorse, and guilt over what he did to his mom and I that evening. I can't count the number of times he has told me that he is so sorry for what he did and he'll never be able to forgive himself. I can also count the number of times he has told me that he is so happy that I survived. And so glad to still be able to see me. He's told me that numerous times. I love you, Danny. I can't count the number of times that he said, "Dad, I miss Mom. I miss Mom." His pain runs very deep, and it should. I believe it should run deep. And if his pain did not run deep, I guarantee you I would not be standing here speaking on his behalf. I call him like I see him. And I would not stand here and talk on his behalf if his pain didn't run deep. I know it does, contrary to others' opinions. So I'm asking the court on Danny's behalf for a lenient sentence. Because Danny does have remorse and regret. And I believe God is a God of forgiveness and a God of second chances. Although God does not remove consequences, He doesn't. But He does give second chances. And I'm asking that Danny, in his lifetime, would have a second chance to be successful and do something positive and constructive. And I believe that even through this horrible circumstance, that Danny can set an example for all other young people not to get involved and do the things that he did. And I believe he can do that. I believe that may be a calling upon his life to do that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Daniel, this is your opportunity to speak if you wish. You're not required to, but certainly your opportunity. You can either sit or stand, whatever you wish. All right, that's fine.
Family and friends feelings. And I am not here to suggest that the family doesn't love Danny very much and has chosen to forgive him. I can't speak for whether God will take mercy upon him, but that's not what we're here to decide. There is a separation between the laws of man and the laws of God. I am here to speak for the citizens of Lorraine County, and I believe it's incumbent upon me to speak for the memory of Susan Peterson. Daniel snuck out to buy Halo 3 on the day it was released. He didn't get to play it. He hadn't been given an opportunity to become addicted to it when it was taken away. This is not the case of a drug fiend stash being taken away. Daniel chose, in the words of his father, he referred to him in his interview as a pathological liar. Daniel has serious problems telling the truth. Daniel knows how to manipulate. His brain really works. Those are the words of his father when he was interviewed, Your Honor. And that's what's happened here. If you look at exactly what occurred, they take away the video game before he's had a chance to play it. That he admitted that his mother was likely to allow him to play the games. His father would be the problem. What does that make, Susan Peter? Collateral damage? Because he chose to shoot both of them. That to escape what he was going to do, he decided to kill both of them and to make it look like a murder-suicide. That he had to steal the key to the gun cabinet to accomplish this. That the game was in there, and yes, he took it afterwards, but he also had to load the gun. That he was able to pretend that things were going well, walk out of a room and say, I've got a surprise for you, please close your eyes. And then he opened fire. But he opened fire in a very methodical manner. The father first, the biggest target, also to make it look like a suicide, and then the mother. 3 shots from across the room. His hand was steady. This is not a shaking addict having trouble with his thought process. The father didn't die immediately. He tries to place the gun in his hand. Grab the gun, Dad, grab the gun. As he told Dr. Newhouse, what went wrong? Well, first my dad didn't die, and then my sister and brother-in-law, I knew they were coming over at 9 p.m., came over early, and it just all blew up in my face. And I believe trying to frame his father by putting a gun in his hand, stage the scene, and clean up deserves an additional 5 years, for a total of life without parole plus 21 years.
Constant attention to these types of games creates a new hardware. And the type of behavior that produces is difficult to measure in terms of when it might extinguish. There's nothing in Daniel's background that would indicate so, Scott. He didn't run away from home. He tortured small animals. Didn't fight with his parents. He wasn't a bully. He wasn't a predator at all. But sometime thereafter, it was difficult to see remorse. And I don't really assign that to some aspect of Daniel's character, but rather the condition that was probably created by this obsession and addiction. When Attorney Otero and Kersey and I believe Attorney Sella were young bucks practicing law, the juvenile court would have had it within its discretion to treat this matter in juvenile court. I hope I'm talking now for the future. And not the radio talk show, which appears to have become little more than an affirmative action program for countless overweight, intellectually challenged white boys. Therefore, it will be the judgment of law and sentence of the court. Count 1, aggravated murder, 20 years at the Lorraine Correctional Institute. Counts 2 and 3 are allied offenses of count 1 and are murder. Count 4, 10 years at the Lorraine Correctional Institute. Counts 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 appear to be allied offenses to count 4, and they are merged. Count 11, 5 years at the Lorraine Correctional Institute. Those sentences were run concurrently.
The judge gave Daniel the lightest sentence possible. He will be eligible for parole after serving only 23 years. Judge Burge made it clear he felt the video game Halo was partially responsible for the shootings. He said, "I feel confident that if there was no such thing as violent video games, I wouldn't know Daniel Petric." He continued saying, "Daniel suffers from a serious defect of the mind, and because game enemies can be fought over and over, Daniel had no idea at the time he hatched the plot that if he killed his parents they would be dead forever." He said he was a firm believer that the video game triggered the same physiologic response as psychoactive drugs. When you try to stop those drugs, your brain will not stand for it. He predicted that the possible link between violent video games and violent acts by young perpetrators unknowingly train themselves to be killers. In 2018, the World Health Organization determined that video gaming disorder is a clinical disease. The studies suggest that the disorder only affects a small portion of people who play video games. The organization warns those who play these types of games to be cautious to the amount of time spent in these particular activities. However, the Journal of Economic Behavior and Organization disagrees with this theory, claiming there is no solid evidence that connects video games and violent behavior. In 2015, 24-year-old Daniel Petric attempted to appeal his conviction, claiming his lawyers failed him by not filing an appeal to his conviction. He claimed that his lawyer persuaded him not to appeal and promised him that Ohio law with diminished capacity would eventually change and get him a new trial with a much lighter sentence. Kersey denied making any such claim. The appeal was denied. Daniel is currently at the Grafton Correctional Institute, and will be eligible for parole in 2030. His first parole hearing is scheduled for September of that same year. He will be 39. Daniel Petric became deeply immersed in playing a game called Halo. His parents wanted to be responsible and took away the game due to its violence. However, taking away his game was the catalyst that triggered him to murder his own mother, and attempt to murder his father. Is the video game responsible for these murders, or is this a deflection, to push the blame onto something else to alleviate guilt? One can become addicted to nearly anything, but does that excuse murder? Are some teens more susceptible to violent games and movies? What do you think? This video's scavenger hunt clue is the letter A like alpha. That concludes this episode. Keep your eye out for the next volume, coming soon. If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing. Thanks for watching.
Want to help support the channel you love and get something in return? Simply purchase some Elizabeth's Chronicles merch. We have coffee mugs, t-shirts, sweatshirts, cozy blankets, beach towels, phone covers and more. Use the coupon code EC10OFF4U and get 10% off your order. The link to order is in the description area below this video. Thanks for helping Elizabeth's Chronicles continue to make the videos you love.